Once again, it's Tony Chukumba Fernandez of Africa for You in conjunction with Zimlink. And it's Saturday, the 22nd of February, 2014. Once again, we're interviewing community leaders, role models, and people making a difference within our community. And today, I'm joined by a gentleman who's described as a connoisseur of Afrobeat music scene. His name is Mr. Jairzinho Williams. Welcome to Africa for You.
Thank you very much, Tony. Thanks for having me here.
It's great to meet you finally. Yeah, and I'm sure our listeners around the world are keen to know more about yourself, your background, and the kind of initiatives you've been involved with in the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, myself, Jairzinho, I was born in England, went back to Nigeria with the old, the boat kind of thing, went back to Nigeria in '74, and I attended University of Lagos Staff School. And afterwards, I came back to England to do half of my secondary schooling, returned to Nigeria in 1985 to finish up my secondary school. And I was there for 5 years before I returned to England in 1990. I've been here ever since.
Now, you're quite instrumental in the Afrobeats movement, and also specifically Fela's movement in the past. You were quite instrumental in many of his ideologies and his events. So can you brief our listeners around the world your memories of him and how you got involved?
Well, my earliest memories of Fela was my father being his friend and schoolmate, very close friend of his at the Abeokuta Grammar School. Fela was, according to my father and Fela, was an avid musician, even at school. He always used to play the organ, and my father would sing. He was in the choir, so was my father. So my father and he would, do little demos of themselves. Fela would play, my father would sing. That's how their friendship was struck up. So in the '70s, when we returned to Nigeria, with my brother and my mother, Fela was it was phenomenal the way Fela used to host people, guests from France, Germany, all over the world, always intrigued about Fela, his way of life, the 28 wives, So a few times my father took us there. We went from across the road. This is the old Kalakuta, the Kalakuta that got burned down at Moshalashi. So we'd cross over the road with Fela. The earliest memories of Shrine was it was like a restaurant, tables and chairs, people from all over the world. So those were my earliest memories of Fela.
What are your most profound memories of him?
Oh, well, my first and utmost, definitely for the mere fact that he was 50 years old, his 50th birthday, I threw a party for him alongside my friend, the late Biola Martins. She was also a philanthropist of the African Shrine. At the time, as a youngster, I was a tearaway. I used to have lots of money in hand. I'd go and take my friends from their father's abode and sneak them off to watch Fela. Either by my mother's car, which I had taken illegally, and or by taxi, kabu kabu. I'd pay for them to get across town and make sure their gate fee, whatever it was they needed to do, was paid for, because they were close friends. Whoever I took to the Fela Shrine was a close friend, and I took about 20-odd friends over the years. But, sorry.
Now, like the Afrobeat scene music today has grown from strength to strength in various countries around the world, which is something fantastic. But not many people know about the actual history and the depth of Afrobeat. Can you enlighten our listeners around the world?
Okay, well, what Afrobeat stemmed from was Fela's vision. Fela, obviously, we all know the history by now, but for those who don't know, I'll say, Fela became a prisoner of conscience, his conscience. He was sent to the Western world to study medicine, I think it was, but he ended up averting to music, and he attended the London Trinity School of Music, where he, started to have his earliest forms of an idea for a band. I think, as history would have it, he formed the Koala Lobitos with a host of other greats, like the great Tony Allen, Lekwani Machan, who was the band leader. He's still there with Sheon. And Fela came back to Nigeria really upset with the idea that across the globe, Africans in diaspora, West Indians or whatnot, were being, marginalized. One of the historical events of the time was the Watts riot, and he was just like no blacks, no dogs, no Irish and whatnot. So Fela came back and he spoke to his mother, who told him his music he was playing when he came back was jumbled and disjointed. Why not play your own brand of music that is going to appeal to your people? And so he did, and the rest is history, as I say. But I'll reiterate that through those years when he was forming his ideas, the young African pioneers, the concept of blackism being should be promoted in the right. He read all about Marcus Garvey, Marxism, Leninism, and all of that, Stalinism, and he decided he wanted to form the Afrobeat movement through that. Yeah, but. It was an uphill task because the government.
Now, you're today also part of an Afrobeat Initiative here in London. Can you tell our listeners around the world a bit about the group you belong to and the kind of gigs you've had around the last 2 years?
Okay. Well, I'm still with myself. I don't belong to any, but I'm part of the movement in the sense that it's a passion, seen as singing against corrupt governments. That was Fela's battle, which he took. He took it and did it well. He delivered. Because people are aware what Fela said then is still in effect now. So you've just got to. I got involved with Adebantu of the Afropolitan Vibes. He's a close friend of mine. He was a judge on some musical talent shows in Lagos. And the Afropolitan Vibes, get it right here, is going viral as well. It's picking up all across Africa. And also my friend Dele Shosimi, who was part of Fela's band, and the Positive Force, he's now got his own, the first album being The Identity, Dele Shosimi's first album. So I sing and play with him from time to time.
So tell me, what gigs have you got lined up in 2014, and what does the Afrobeat music scene hold?
Okay. Dele Shosimi is playing at Croatia Soundwave Festival. I shall be there in the summer. This is sometime in between the 18th and the 24th of July. I speak Croatian fluently, so I'm sure I can assist in more than a few ways. Also, we play bi-monthly at the Empowerment Church. And this is one of my favorite, contributions, because here is a place where predominantly we have about 85 to 90% foreign. When I say foreign, they're not Nigerians. They're from all over the globe. Africans, Latinos, Americans, English, French, German. You've got people from all over the place. Italians, and it's just a great vibe, which I get from representing, flying the flag. I'm not doing it for any financial reasons. I'm not doing it for benefit, but I do it because it's a passion. Expressing yourself, singing, especially Fela's brand of music. It releases your soul. You want to fly away.
Beautiful. On a final note, if people want to get to know more about Mr. Jairzinho Williams and his initiatives, are there any social media platforms out there?
As you know, you and I are in conjunction with the Urban Jazz radio station. I've recently been invited to do an hourly slot. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I hope to spread my message through that. I take lead from gentlemen like yourself. Who, you've been flying the flag. I'd just like to point out about Mr. Fernandez, if you don't mind. It's very encouraging to see you encouraging the actual grassroots and not of the old, phenomenon where, it's who that gets you, out to the people. This is brilliant, and I'd like to thank you for that initiative.
Thank you so much. And please keep me posted of all the great work you're doing in the community. And I hope to catch one of your shows very soon.
Most definitely. I hope you come to the next one. You said you won't be able to make it 29th, but we shall see you in Croatia, hopefully.
Beautiful.
Brilliant, Mr. Fernandez.
Nice to meet you again.
Thanks for having me.
Catch me same time next week.
The exchange of information and knowledge through film and media. It's Zimlink, baby.